So for Bill, we have a question from a very ambitious person. He said, as a young man who intends to overtake you as the world's richest man, what kind of vision do I require, and what specific advice would you give me? Bill.
Well, fortunately, I don't think there's any single metric that defines excellence. Hopefully that person has some ideas, or he sees beyond the current generation. My luck was to be born at a time when computing was going from a very centralized, extensive form, where the amount of software that was needed was very, very modest, and so it wasn't even considered the magic element of the system. The hardware, just keeping it running, and buying it, and babysitting it, was the center of the industry. And yet, because the microprocessor chip was coming along and essentially, from my point of view, making computing free and storage free, and eventually even network bandwidth free, I could conceive of a form of software in terms of a tool for the individual that was radically different than any other software. I remember at the time the industry award for the top selling software was if you sold 10,000 copies, you got their big trophy and they gave you a big banquet. Well, our Basic had sold 6 million copies, so I called them up and I said, well, what do you have for 6 million? They were like, what? What kind of software are you talking about? And so it was really utterly different. For this gentleman, hopefully at a young age, he'll see how to make robots, or how to make assistants, or some way of making software development far more efficient than it is today. Even though so many things have changed, if you look at, say the code that defines a website, or the code you write for business applications, I have to say, if you'd asked me 40 years ago what that would look like, I would have predicted that it would be much easier to do business applications, much easier to write highly reliable code. So there's an opportunity for somebody, and it's not just in software. If they can invent, a way of making energy cheap and CO2 free, see a twist of using technology to do that. I'd say that would be a kind of a mind-blowing contribution. So the room for innovation, the speed for innovation is better today than ever. In my case, I didn't sit down and say, okay, I'm going to be better than IBM or something. I didn't have the same confidence that this person had. I knew I loved software. I wanted to mess around with it. And it led to, being able to create a company. But I didn't know, at any point in time, part of the reason I think I ran the company well is I thought, okay, maybe the company will be twice as big. Let me get ready for that. I never said, well, of course, we'll be gigantic, because then you might skip all the hard work of scaling up that factor of 2. And I thought, okay, this is it. I just have to build a management system for 5,000 people. If you said to me when I had 10 people and I was writing all the code, hey, you'll have 100,000 people, I would have laughed. I would have said, wow, how many bugs can you create with 100,000 people? I don't want 100,000 people. So, I wish you good luck.